So I'll do a review. You're with Julian on the Brown Notes and a review of the movie MaXXXine, the third in what was likely to be a trilogy of films worshipping the goddess of modern cinema, Mia Goth. An actress who alongside is one of the, I guess there's Anya Taylor-Joy as well, fighting for that position as the hottest actress in the world. Both have come through an incredible run of horror analogous films. And I guess for Anya Taylor-Joy, starting off with The Witch, and even up to The Menu, for an excellent film from last year, which was pretty much a kind of a horror film, but has certainly shown up in some very prominent films. And there's a few others sort of bubbling away in the background. Maybe Sydney Sweeney will even get there one day. I don't know if anyone can beat Mia Goth. I said in reviewing Infinity Pool last year that her presence on screen is the most electric, I think, of any actor at the moment. And that she was Bridget Bardot for the modern era, but with better acting abilities. And she had a run, a back-to-back of... So the first film from T West in the X trilogy was X, which got an enormous amount of acclaim. It was supposed to be this really transgressive horror about a group of porn actors renting out a barn on a farm to make a movie and becoming subject to the unwanted attentions of the old lady that ran the house, who was called Pearl. And now Mia Goth played both one of the young porn actresses and the old lady in that film. It got enormous acclaim, but I didn't think it was that great. I certainly thought it was good. It was a little bit too ordinary outside of the transgressive graphic content. And it didn't really offer much in the way of, it wasn't Hereditary. It wasn't The Witch. It wasn't something that we'd not really seen before, done in a way we hadn't seen before, that really was stand out. And it wasn't really a traditional horror film that was stood out because of how well it was done either. Like, say, Sinister or Insidious, which may not have been particularly original, but did what they did so well. It was middle of the pack stuff, which made it all the more shocking that the second film, Pearl, was my second favourite film of the year. Was it last year? I gave an incredibly high review to. I think it was beaten by Oppenheimer last year, maybe. I think I gave it 9.5 out of 10. I think it's a masterpiece, and everyone complained that Mia Goth never got nominated for an Oscar for one of the performances of the century. She was just amazing. English actress with some Latin heritage. I forget which way round, because Anya Taylor-Joy is also an English actress with Latin heritage, and I forgot. Someone's got Argentinian, I think. I think that's Anya Taylor-Joy, and does Mia Goth have Brazilian heritage? God, you've got to put these people in a film together. That would be absolutely amazing. So Pearl was just an outstanding film, a completely different original take on the birth of a serial killer in this impoverished farm. This is the final one in the trilogy, if it ends up the final one in the trilogy, and it's probably next to Civil War my biggest letdown of the year, because the premise of it was so great. So Mia Goth has escaped the barn, even though she was originally also Pearl, who was killing everyone in the movie X. We have the Mia Goth, who was the young porn actress, who's now trying to become a serious actor in Hollywood. So she's trying to get a role in a film with Elizabeth, another actress. I've got Debicki, I don't know how you say it, Debicki, who's the 6'3" actress of renown from Widows, and has been in a few other films along the way, Tenet as well. And she's another really interesting actor. So she goes to get a role in Debicki's new film, which is a horror slasher film, and to overcome the burden of being a porn actress, trying to get serious roles, even though it's not really that serious a role. Along the way, she is in the world of this sort of late 70s, early 80s universe that is beautifully constructed, absolutely stunningly constructed. The Night Stalker, Richard Ramirez, is a serial killer at loose, and people start dying, and the inference is that the serial killer, Richard Ramirez, is responsible and coming for her. And it's a fantastic setup. It's just so good. It's got, like, the look of the film is absolutely amazing. It's so beautifully and evocatively shot. And Mia Goth walking around through these landscapes and getting in and out of these cars, it just looks magnificent. And I could sit there all day watching Mia Goth, and she's electric again. She always is. She's just such a stunningly captivating actor. The film itself is just such a letdown. It's for one thing, it's amazingly tepid. So we follow Mia as she sort of gets the role in the film, and people around her start dying, and we think it's Richard Ramirez, and it could be something else, but there's none of the transgression of the previous films at all. Considering it's a film about a porn actress being stalked by a serial killer, it's remarkably tame. Like, the film X was incredibly transgressively explicit in its depiction of things, and this is you just wonder what was going on here that they made it such a lukewarm version. And again, for Pearl, there's just none of the brilliance in the writing of the character and the scenes. It's very lukewarm all the way through. Even the side characters are very lukewarm. I thought Elizabeth Debicki, as the female director trying to make her name, I would have loved her and Mia Goth to have been the whole movie and followed that path. It's like it's a time, even though there is graphic sex and violence, it's very tame. It's almost like a PG version of Babylon, that awful film from a few years ago with Margot Robbie. Moses Sumney, the singer, turns up as her best mate. He's again a very tepid character. And Michelle Monaghan, who I've got a lot of time for, and Bobby Cannavale are like the most generic rogue cops. There's just no point to them being in the film, and they don't really ever do anything. Not much happens. Lily Collins is one of the actresses. She's shown up a lot. Giancarlo Esposito, Kevin Bacon as a very seedy. So one of the main plot elements is Kevin Bacon is this very generically seedy Southern private detective who is straight out of Blood Simple, and tries and hunts her down and says, you know, the person paying me knows that you were involved in this mass murder event in a farmhouse. So she's got this spectre of this thing circling towards her, but everything is lame. Everything is lame, and it's just not got any of the transgression of the first film or the brilliance of the second film. It's by far the weakest, but the worst part about it is the last third, when we actually find out what's going on. It's a big mistake, and it's eye-rolling, and when we do find out what's actually happening, the film hasn't earned this sharp jump moment at all, and I did find myself rolling my eyes going, oh, really? And to waste Mia Goth at the moment for me is not a forgivable sin. So MaXXXine was probably the biggest letdown next to Civil War. I expected so much after Pearl. Mia Goth in this beautifully shot landscape is wonderful to watch. And for that reason only, I'll give it a 6 out of 10 for MaXXXine, which is otherwise reasonably dire, sadly.